The year is 2025, and the checkered flag has fallen on the final NASCAR Cup Series event. Nearly 80 years of history, races, fights, and all of that has reached its last chapter. Scholars of the future will forever study the downfall of the once great giant, trying to uncover what it was that ended such a beast of sports. What will they say? What killed NASCAR?
These were the words of one of my core friends in the NASCAR online community in a video he did a little over 5.5 years ago, titled, What Killed NASCAR? When this video came out in early 2018, a lot of people called him crazy, unknowing, unrealistic, egregiously dumb over that opening line. Despite the fact the video was made about the absurd expenses, changes, gimmicks, and casual fan chasing since the start of the Brian France era. But now here we are at the end of the 2024 NASCAR season, and now everyone is calling him a visionary, a Nostradamus, if you will. How did he know? How did he predict the future? A few months after that video was uploaded, Brian France was finally ousted from NASCAR. And even then, it wasn't enough. Jim France was seen as the hope that NASCAR needed, the savior of NASCAR. But yet, his regime has done far worse than Brian's ever has. And in less than half the time. The horrendous casual fan chasing that's gotten even worse. Alienating and even discriminating a good amount, if not most, of the actual fans. Trying to shove the Golden Boys down our throat, which almost everyone doesn't like for various reasons. Letting one of them think he's the literal dictator of NASCAR to the point he's suing you because he thinks he has that much power, as of this video. Changes nobody asked for. A new car less safe than the Gen 3 cars. And even worse, none of the additions made under Brian France's tenure have been reversed or removed. If anything, Jim France's tenure pushes Brian France's ideals, all while making changes of their own that are even worse. Unless NASCAR is willing to change for the better, my friend's prediction from April of 2018 will come true after all. But what's this? NASCAR may actually look into their stupid playoff and do a large overhaul as early as 2026? Do they think it's just the playoffs that need an overhaul? Oh no, NASCAR. A lot of things will have to change, and not just the playoff, if you wish to avoid your doom, as my friend had predicted. Luckily, I know how to save you. The question is, are you willing to do whatever it takes to not only save your sport, but to let it thrive again? Or are you just going to accept your predetermined fate and wither away into extinction? If you're ready to accept that you need help, and are willing to listen, then here are all the things that NASCAR needs to do, or else risk ceasing to exist for good. We're going to be covering the 5 main things that NASCAR needs to take care of if they have any shot of survival. The first one being a new points formula. The playoff is bad enough, but now people are starting to get fed up with the points formula itself. Granted, the 43-1 format, or later the 40-1 format, which was probably one of the few positive changes Brian France ever made, was a good idea in theory, especially with complaints about the winner not getting enough in relation to the Winston format. However, I've come up with a way to combine the Winston format and the current format that'll satisfy both consistency and winning. But you need people to pay attention during the races itself. This will include not one but two ways to earn bonus points all throughout the race, which I will also cover. I'm also going to cover a new format for the playoff, a format that literally everyone will approve of. I've also discussed my ideas for a new car for the Cup Series. This will address all of the issues that the current next-gen cars have. I've also briefly covered other notable issues that NASCAR needs to do if it really wants to save itself. And since we're discussing possible overhauls to the schedule, let alone the playoff, I've devised a new schedule for all three national series of NASCAR, that being the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series. So now with all that in mind, let's start with one of the main selling points: the points you can earn in each race. Instead of the 43-1 format, we're going to go with something a little bit different. Basically combining the current 43-1 format, or 40-1 format if you go by 40 positions, along with that of the aspect of the Winston format, which you gain more points the higher you finish. Starting at position 40, we'll start at 1 point, and for each position, the increments will go up by 1 point up to position 31. As seen here. 1 point for 40th, 2 points for 39th, 3 points for 38th, and so on and so forth until you get to 31st, which gets 10 points. Now, starting at position 30, they'll start at 12 points, and each position will go up in increments of 2 points up to position 21. As you can see here, we then have 30th getting 12 points, 29th with 14, 28th with 16, all the way up to 21st place, which will get 30 points. Starting at position 20 at 33 points, each position will go up in increments of 3 up to position 11. So 20th will get 33 points, 19th 36 points, 18th 39 points, and so on and so forth until 11th place gets 60 points. Starting in 10th place at 64 points, each position will go up in increments of 4 up to 6th position. That means 10th place will get 64 points, 9th 68, 8th 72 points, 7th will get 76 points, and 6th place will get 80 points. Now as for the top 5, position 5 will start at 85 points, and each position will go up in increments of 5 up to position 2, the runner-up position. So 5th place will get 85 points, 4th place 90 points, 3rd place 95 points, 2nd place 100 points, and then instead of a 5-point differential for winning the race, finishing first will give you 15 more points than second, tripling the reward compared to other positions, thus giving a bigger reward for winning. Here's a full breakdown of the entire points format for all 40 positions in any race under this idea. Now that being said, this is just for your finishing position at the end of the race. What about bonus points? There's 2 ways you can get bonus points under this format. The first one being checkpoints. This is basically stage points but under a new name. You know, if you want to get gamers into NASCAR and you have a crap video game like NASCAR 21 Ignition, then maybe using gaming terms would be a good idea. Hence, checkpoints. Basically, these will work exactly like stage points, but there will be a difference to differentiate the former stage points to the new checkpoints. That being the method we use for Sonoma, which will be there will be no caution after the end of each checkpoint. Hence the term checkpoints. When a checkpoint is reached, the top 10 will receive points based on where they finished in the top 10. So first place would get 10 points, second place would get 9 points, and so on and so forth until 10th place gets 1 point when they hit the checkpoint. And this will happen twice per race. The other one will be the leader bonus points, and this will work similarly to how it worked during the Winston era. If you lead at least one lap in a race, you will receive 1 bonus point. If you lead the most laps, you will get an additional bonus point. Now, with the point structure and the bonus points out of the way, let's talk about the 2026 and beyond NASCAR playoffs. There are no playoffs! Oh my God, I have said this since 2003! We do not need a playoff format. We do not need a chase format. Stop trying to misconstrue my words and then try to push it off on me, Dale Jr.
Brainless France is trying to ruin NASCAR bit by bit. You know what? If you want to Dave Johnson-fies the chase, here's how you do it. Get rid of the chase. I've said it since day one. Dumb idea, and it's still a dumb idea. No matter what manner of advancements you make, no matter how much you screw it up, it's still going to be a screw-up from day one. Get rid of it. Get rid of the chase. I've been saying it since day one. Stuff like this is why the chase did not exist. If the chase did not exist, none of this crap would happen.
I think that for all the folks that have been asking us to get rid of the chase for years, it's a great day for them.
It's a moment. Well put.
Moment.
Yeah, that's a better answer. We took it literally.
Are you going to drop the mic on that?
Seriously, we do not need playoffs. Never had, never will. You want to get rid of a good maybe 40% of all your controversies? Get rid of the playoffs. It's that simple. We don't need it. We never needed it. And why other series like the supercars in Australia and the NHRA think they need this, I don't know, because they don't. Oh. No playoffs. It's that simple. We are auto racing, not a stick and ball sport. Now with the uber obvious out of the way, let's get to a more serious topic. The idea for a new NASCAR Cup Series car. This will basically be, well, since the next gen was called the Gen 7, this will be the Gen 8 car. Because let's face it, the Gen 7, the next gen, this thing has been an absolute colossal failure in so many different ways. So this is my recommendation for a new Gen 8 car. The body style will be that similarly to the Gen 4 car, which many say is the best race car NASCAR ever had. By implementing the body styles of the Gen 4 cars, you will make improvements to all of the racing. Now, what I also will recommend, and this is what they should have done before the car of tomorrow, basically it'll be the Gen 4 car, but modernize it to accommodate all of the safety improvements that have been done since the original Gen 4 car. That way, not only is the racing better, but safer. Because let's face it, the next gen does not provide any of that. And because of that, the Gen 7, the next gen, will not be considered for any improvements in relation to the Gen 8 car. And since I was discussing changes that literally nobody asked for this car, the number placement will return to the middle of the cars at the door because, let's face it, the forward number experiment has also been a colossal failure. Let's focus on changes that NASCAR actually needs and not stupid made-up things that nobody asked for. And since I know a lot of people are not exactly happy with the 550 package, the Gen 8 will begin at 800 horsepower and be adjusted accordingly with testing to improve the racing in later seasons. So, that's it for the Cup car. But there's other changes that NASCAR needs to do starting in 2026. The big one. Not that big one. The big one. The big thing that NASCAR needs to do is have the France/Kennedy family sell the sport. The root cause of all this is the last two generations, because the France family has been involved with NASCAR since day one. But ever since Brian France took over, ever since Bill France Jr. picked the wrong successor, that's when NASCAR started going out of hand. You can try and make up figures and numbers with sponsors and all that, but then you realize that's not exactly true, now was it? There was a little bit of intrigue, but then they fell off pretty badly, and in worse ways than you can ever imagine. Sure, you can try to blame the recession, but that was, 16 years ago? Why is NASCAR not thriving now like other sports have? It's because of the incompetency of those who own and run the sport. Like, look at Liberty Media with Formula One, and TKO with WWE. Ever since they came into power from the previous runners of their sports, they've been thriving. How is NASCAR not seeing that? The France/Kennedy families need to sell NASCAR to people who actually know what they're doing and get out of auto racing altogether. And one of the other main reasons is the invasion of basically bad people in NASCAR. So this is what I recommend as well. And France/Kennedy family, you definitely need to apologize to that, and we'll get to that. There have been 6 people in NASCAR who have been exposed and confirmed as actual racists in NASCAR. Because of NASCAR willing to basically push these people down our throats, now we have actual racists thinking, oh, they're not racist anymore. I can join NASCAR. No, you're the racist. Stay out. So Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Roger Carruth, Steve Phelps, and Steve O'Donnell all need to be banned permanently from NASCAR. And I recommend all other motorsports as well. Larson being racist towards black people and white people, Bubba Wallace and Roger Carruth being racist towards white people, Denny Hamlin being racist towards Asian people, and Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell faking a hate crime, which is a felony, by the way. They need to be in a Talladega jail right about now. Those 6 staying in the sport has now given bad people, especially racist people, the idea that NASCAR will have them just to have any sort of casual fan. NASCAR insists they want to kick the racists out of the sport. Start with them! And on that note, NASCAR also needs to issue an apology, a loud and clear apology, to those they have falsely accused and victimized by trying to shove racism onto them. Especially Corey LaJoie, Noah Gragson, and basically every single Southern racing fan. NASCAR trying to shove these false accusations and stuff onto all of them is disgusting. And NASCAR and the France Kennedy family especially needs to apologize to every single one of them. Also on that note, because of the false racism accusation and slander against Noah Gragson, we know who did that. And we know who also publicized it. So, if Front Stretch and the Arkansas Democrat Gazette can terminate Daniel McFadden and then all of auto racing issue a permanent ban against him doing any form of auto racing media, that'd be great. Let's drop the hammer on his racist butt. Now, back to the other changes that NASCAR does need to do. There's 2 other things that need to be removed. The first one being the charter system. Gee, why does that dictator wannabe Denny Hamlin really insist on pushing these issues? You know, maybe if we didn't have the stupid charter agreement to begin with, this wouldn't be a problem. So, just get rid of it. Stop trying to have NASCAR control your money by saying, yeah, you pay us a certain amount of money, then you can automatically compete. When do we have qualifying anymore? Like, when do we have bums from the field? When's the last time that's been a thing? We don't need a charter system. We don't have the capacity of teams for this kind of thing. Like, maybe in the truck series once in a blue moon, but that's it. We don't need the charter system. It's redundant now. Just no. And another thing that needs to go is the complete and utter removal of the damaged vehicle policy. Because this is, once again, something nobody asked for. What is the point of this? There's no use to this. It's caused more controversy than solving any supposed issue it's supposed to solve. No, it's a controversy machine. Get rid of it. The France family needs to go. The racists need to go. The charter system needs to go. And the damaged vehicle policy needs to go. That's simple. Oh, and apologize to all those that you have victimized. Now, there is one other thing I do want to cover in this video. I did this a few years ago, basically drawing up a perfect fantasy schedule for 2021 standards. But now with some of the tracks I have in that video either closed or I didn't do enough research to see if they would be suitable to run a NASCAR race, I have made some adjustments to those videos. Now, the format aspects will be basically the same. 24 races for the Truck Series, 28 races for Xfinity, 32 races for Cup. I'll have the season end in mid-October as to not get screwed over by the NFL in the ratings while it's still early in their season. One race per track per series. No one gets 2 races a season for a specific series. There'll be new tracks that will be added. Both Mexico and Canada get races. And this is important for the crews because this was one of my main gripes against the LA Coliseum running the Clash. The longest stretch of race weekends in a row is 10 races to avoid excess travel, stress, and burnout amongst the teams and the crews. I think that would be a big help to the teams if we could avoid a 20 straight week session of racing. Yeah, that's kind of a no-go. So, I'm not going to go into full-on detail like I did in my video from a few years ago, but I'm just going to list it in single sessions. So, the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series schedule overhaul that I came up with basically has a few new places. Pueblo Motorsports Park on March 8th. That is a road course in New Mexico. That would be interesting. Atlanta Motor Speedway is in a suck status right now, so I'm replacing it with Road Atlanta. There is a track in Mexico that I actually do like called Autodromo de Aguas Calientes, which is basically concrete Iowa. I think that would work well for them. I'm still going to be vehemently against Talladega, but I'm not going to strip away anything from the state of Alabama, so I've added Barber Motorsports Park to the schedule. North Wilkesboro will get a points-paying Cup race, so that is a huge help. The Cup Series will be going to Milwaukee. That will be also a huge help. I have the 4th of July event at DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. I actually was torn between DuQuoin and Illinois State Fairgrounds because they're 2 different tracks. DuQuoin State Fairgrounds has lights. Dirt track racing under the lights on July 4th. Oh yeah, that's an awesome idea. Shannonville Motorsports Park. I was also torn between that and another track. But I picked Shannonville because it just looks awesome. It has the grandstand capacity that is needed for NASCAR nowadays. So there's your Canadian track. And then all sorts of different tracks leading up to the season finale at Rockingham. And to compensate for those saying they want it at Homestead, that'll be the second to last race of the season. Oh, and one more thing that I didn't mention earlier. Sonoma is now in March because everyone says that Sonoma is beautiful in March, so let's go to Sonoma in March. Aha, problem solved. Oh, and Phoenix, since you sucked as the finale, you deserve to be the second race of the season, so But all of the major traditional dates are still there. Darlington Raceway will have the Southern 500 on Labor Day weekend. Charlotte Motor Speedway will have Memorial Day weekend, and the Daytona 500 will be the opening race. So no, I'm not getting rid of Super Speedway racing altogether. I know that NASCAR would never get rid of their baby, so Daytona can stay. Talladega and Atlanta can go. Now, if I could just find a suitable replacement for Texas, but I couldn't, so they have to stay for right now. Now, as for the Xfinity Series, they have a 28-race schedule, and they do have a few differences. Like the Truck Series before, they will also be going to both Portland and Lime Rock. And they will also be doing the Mexico and Canadian races, since they've both been there before. Otherwise, the schedule kind of sort of matches Cup with a few slight differences. The main one being they'll be also going to Evergreen on July 4th. So that would be a pretty interesting event for them. But yeah, way less races to coincide with double-ups with the Cup Series. So Xfinity can have their own true identity. Will also be in a platform to help the drivers get to Cup if they so wish. Now, the Truck Series, they will have 24 races. And there's a few changes. Basically, the reason why Gateway is on March 6th is because I basically ran out of room for them for literally anywhere else on the schedule, so that's where I had to put them. There's also going to be a series debut at the Dominion Raceway, which is a pretty good short track in Virginia, so that'll work. There's also going to be a return to Eldora for them, so they can have their own little special dirt race thing and not be basically overshadowed by the Cup Series while they're racing at DeCoin. And yeah, basically a bunch of combo races with Cup and or Xfinity. But I think I did pretty well here. So, that is basically all in relation to all of the changes that NASCAR has to do. Especially the main ones. We now have a new points formula, a new playoff format, aka no playoffs, a new Cup car, a new schedule, and other various issues that NASCAR needs to take care of if they really want to save themselves from an inevitable doom. So NASCAR, it's not just the playoffs that need to be overhauled. It's your entire sport. It's not just overhauling your playoff format by getting rid of it completely and going back to a full season points format. You need a points formula that rewards consistency and wins all at once. You need bonuses that rewards the full race performance, but not at the cost of the race. You need a new Cup car that is great at both racing and safety, to which the next gen provides neither of those things. You need to eliminate things that have caused nothing but trouble, namely the charter system and the damaged vehicle policy. And you need to make amends to all you have wronged and ban those who have done the unimaginable, to show the racists who have invaded the sport that they are not welcome. And the biggest thing of all of you in the France/Kennedy families need to sell the sport and leave for good. Sell the sport to people who actually know what they're doing. People who know the racing is the entertainment and not the manufactured drama that you have created. You were once the second biggest sport in the United States. Now you're teetering on the edge of death. Are you willing to make all these changes to save your sport? What will it be?
Nearly 80 years of history, races, fights, and all of that has reached its last chapter. Scholars of the future will forever study the downfall of the once great giant, trying to uncover what it was that ended such a beast of sports. What will they say? What killed NASCAR?
Will my friend's prophetic words be in relation to just the end of the France family's rule in NASCAR? Or will it actually be the end of NASCAR entirely and permanently? Your choice, NASCAR.